Hi, everyone. Dr. Annette. I am so excited to come in to let you know that this is season 5 of Dr. Annette Publishing Pusher podcast. As we begin this new season, I will have 25 episodes. I'll bring many different people in to come and share. But as we kick off this one, I wanted to give us a reminder of something. And that topic is sexual violence. Sexual violence. As you listen to a part of the podcast today, you will hear Colette Jones. And in her interview or in our chat, she mentions military sexual violence. As we move into the month of April, this is National Sexual Assault Month, as well as Poetry Month. So we have a poet who also mentioned this sexual violence. I wanted to just remind us that this is a significant topic, and all of us can assist in helping to spread the word that every 68 seconds, a woman is sexually assaulted. April is Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. There's a group called SAM, and each year doing their efforts, they work to raise awareness about sexual assault and educate the community about how to prevent sexual assault. I'm in the state of South Carolina, and I looked at a bit of statistics, and it said on sexual assault victims, there are 3,536 new primary survivors of sexual assault who sought services from a rape crisis center. Now, just think about it. That's only the number that reported who actually sought out help. Think about the many more who never did. Out of that 3,500, 2,037 are adults, and 1,499 are children under 18 years old. Listen, this is one of the reasons why it is so important for us to monitor our children. I know we want to give them some leeway, but we are the adults, we are the parents, we are the caregivers for these children, and we have to not allow them to just be out hanging out, because there's always someone who is willing to prey on them. So I just want to encourage us, and there are other centers as well. RAIN, RAAIN, is Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network. And it is the nation's largest anti-sexual violence organization. They are always available to help. That number is national, and it is 1-800-656-HOPE. 1-800-656-4673, which is 4673 is HOPE. And so what is sexual assault? Sexual assault refers to any type of sexual activity or contact that happens without the explicit consent of the recipient. This can include forced sexual intercourse, molestation, groping, and any other unwarranted sexual behavior. The word consent, it is a fundamental aspect of any sexual activity. It must be given freely, willingly, and with full understanding of the situation by all parties involved. Consent cannot be given if a person is intoxicated, unconscious, underage, coerced, or incapacitated in any way. The prevalence is that sexual assault is more common than many people realize. We know statistics are going to vary by region and population, but research consistently shows that a significant portion of the population has experienced some type of sexual assault or harassment in their lifetime. This is a serious impact. Sexual assault can have profound and long-lasting effects on survivors. These effects can include physical injuries, mental health issues such as PTSD, depression, anxiety, and a profound sense of violation and a loss of trust. We must encourage individuals who have experienced sexual assault to seek support and report the incident. They can contact local law enforcement. They can seek medical attention. They can reach out to organizations and hotlines, as I've mentioned, that specialize in supporting survivors of sexual assault. One thing is significant is education. We're promoting so many other things in schools. Why are we not promoting education about what consent means and what education and awareness programs that focus on teaching males and females about healthy relationships, about boundaries, about what consent really means, about bystander intervention. These programs can help prevent sexual assault by fostering a culture of respect and understanding. Perpetrators of sexual assault should be held accountable for their actions. There must be efforts in place. I'm asking you to be on the lookout. I'm asking you to be aware. I'm asking you to support where you can. There's somewhere that all of us can reach out. There is so much more that can be said about this topic, but I want you to just be reminded that somebody is going through this. And there are so many people that you know that have gone through it who've just not said anything, who didn't feel they would be heard, who didn't want to be shamed because of what happened. We want to show love to people who are going through, and we want to empower them and encourage them. So I just wanted to share that little nugget. There's so much more that can be said, but I say all of us can do our part. I just am really blessed that Colette mentioned it during her interview, and I wanted to come and just share a little bit on it. Now, please enjoy what Colette has to share.
Celebrate the completion of your book and let Written Word Publishing help share it with the world. Take advantage of our professional, proficient, affordable, reliable editing, ghostwriting, and publishing services. Or you can purchase books and custom apparel. Visit writtenwordpublishing.com or call 720-390-5179 for more information. That's writtenwordpublishing.com or 720-390-5179.
Greetings, it's Dr. Annette, publishing pusher, the all-in-body place of encouragement, cultural empowerment. Weekly, she'll engage conversations with entrepreneurs and creators. And these insightful interviews are designed to help us build our businesses, respective brands, ourselves, and to hopefully propel us to the next level of greatness. Big boss. So with no time to waste time, it's officially go time.
Hi, everyone. Dr. Annette here, publishing pusher. You know, we don't just push publishing, but we push people, okay? And this week I am excited because I have a dear friend of mine. I've known her for several years now. It's just amazing how time flies. But her name is Colette Jones. How are you today, Colette?
Hi, Dr. Annette. How are you, my sister? How are you?
Doing well. So I'm bringing Colette in with a little different flow because Colette is that spoken word, creative voice, boogie down girl. And if you haven't seen her in motion, I hope you get the opportunity. But she's got some great things that are going to be going on soon, and I want to give her the opportunity to share those because maybe wherever you're located, you may be able to get out and be a part of it. But before we talk about all that wonderful stuff, I want to talk about the person Colette. All right, y'all. So Colette, if you could just tell us, who are you? How did we get connected? Well, how did you get to this point in 2024?
Okay, so back in the day, in 1969, Bertha Mae and Chank Jones got to get. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
Hey, that's what it was. That's what it
was. I just kidding, but no, my parents, William and Bertha Jones, decided, hey, we're going to have a child, and hence Colette Delane Jones. I am a native of Columbia, South Carolina. I am the oldest child and the oldest daughter of 4 children. I have 2 sisters and a brother. And I graduated from Richland District 1 schools in Columbia. And then I joined the military in 86. I joined the Army first. And then after some time in the Army, I got married, had children. Then I joined the Air Force, and now I am the mother of 3 children, Maya, Jasmine, and DJ, and they are all grown. So now I'm an empty nester, retired Air Force veteran, and just performing wherever I get wherever God vets these opportunities, because it's a difference between what I see and what he sees. So I try to make sure I'm looking through his eyes before I accept opportunities to perform.
So Colette, tell us, how did you fall or flow into this poetry and spoken word venue?
So according to my grandmother, I had what I call a country grandmother and a city grandmama. So my country grandmama lived in Hopkins, and my city grandmama had roots in Lee County, Bitchenville area. And even though she lived in the city, but you could still see the moonshine and the wraparound porch around her every time she talked. But according to her, she said when I was little, I would just write things and I started saying things, and people thought that I was just talking, but she understood it to be poetry. And even though she didn't understand what I was doing, but she knew what it was. And so every time I came over to her house, she would give me like napkins and sheets of paper and crayons. And I was doing my version of writing words even then. And as I got a little older, I was voluntold to stand up in church and get the Easter speeches and the Christmas and the Thanksgiving. So everybody else got I just came to say Happy Easter Day. And then I got this big monologue that I had to remember and recite from memory with feeling. Everybody else got a pass, but I didn't. And I hated that portion of it, but it was training which brought me to where I am today, to be able to sing comfortably in front of a crowd and express myself and get others to interact with me or engage with me.
I remember seeing you as the mistress of ceremonies at some events, and also just being able to free flow a thought and pop it out and have us mesmerized. I'm still thinking about the one you did on it. Was it a piece of gum? One year.
Yep.
you were talking about the gum, and I was like, who in the world can come up with all of these descriptive terms for one doggone piece of gum? But I guess when it is in you, it begins to naturally flow. And as you said,
it is.
it was a natural part of your process, which is
Mm-hmm.
amazing in itself. I love that you shared how your grandmother
Mm-hmm.
saw the vision in you,
Mm-hmm.
saw something in you, knew what
Mm-hmm.
it was, and encouraged you. And I think that's one of the things that we as parents and friends and mentors need to do,
Mm-hmm.
is when we see the developing gifts and talents, to be
Mm-hmm.
able to press in and pull more from the person. And one of the things you
Mm-hmm.
said was, when they gave the most of the kids nothing to say.
Right. I mean, like 3 little words or 3 little lines of,
Jesus
like I said, it
wept.
would be something easy. I just came to say Happy Easter Day. That's all they had to stand up and say. And it'll be like, now you have a speech by John Smith. I just came to say Happy Easter Day. Now you have a speech by Colette Jones. And in the beginning, God created the world. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, I had to say, like, their speech was maybe 2 seconds as opposed to mine almost 5 minutes.
But you get to shine the light. You got to shine the light,
Mm-hmm.
even when you didn't know that that's what you were doing. And you are
Right.
still getting to shine the light, even when there are times when people try to get in front of that light from it to going
Mm-hmm.
forward. And
Right.
you talked about listening to the Lord, and
Mm-hmm.
hearing his voice over your own. And I think
Mm-hmm.
that's so important, because if you're not careful, because you're so good at what you do, people will try
Mm-hmm.
to use you up.
Well, I mean, and not just that, but we can be our own worst enemy, because a compliment can pour more gas on your ego than constructive criticism. That can be fuel for you to continue to run blindly without seeking wisdom for your steps to be ordered when you're conducting yourself accordingly in your gifts and talents. You can, a compliment can be instant fuel for your ego if you're not careful. Instant. And really truly, God had to break me down and humble me for me to realize that, I do have a responsibility. And just because I'm not standing in front of a podium, or I'm not in front of people, period, that doesn't mean that his mic is not on for me to use. The mic for God, if you say you are his vessel, your mic is always hot. Always hot. Always.
Gotta always be ready. Always be
Yep.
ready.
Your mic,
Well,
and not just always be ready, but just being cognizant when your mic is hot, like politicians, and they forget that their mic is on and they're caught saying some crazy stuff. That too, like, you have to remember, I can see if you don't know any better, but when God knows you know better, yeah, you got to be mindful, because you don't know who's listening and watching. Somebody's always looking for and seeking a right now word, a word of inspiration and encouragement and empowerment. Somebody's always seeking that, because life is life, and for a lot of people.
yeah, that's
So,
rich.
yep. So if you can't edify, shut up. Literally. If you cannot edify, be quiet.
Amen. Amen. Colette, I know that you do all of this wonderful sharing and spoken word, and you've blessed many stages. When you first started getting on, moving beyond the church, I'll say, and doing
Mm-hmm.
things, at what point was that for you? And I'm sure you're still doing some things within those walls, but what
Mm-hmm.
point start to step outside of that and realize that you had something to share with even a broader audience?
So back in 1992, I was living in Germany, and I was married at the time. And they, where we were living at in Germany, they were seeking talent for a Black History program. And, at that time, the only thing that I had done, accomplished, was writing a little bit. because I wasn't really sharing my work then, but I really truly have become proficient at memorizing and standing up and sharing, the work of others. And so I said, well, I'm not doing anything. And they were handing out pieces for people to recite. And the piece that they handed me to recite was Nikki Giovanni, which is one of my favorite poets. Nikki Giovanni's Ego Tripping. And when I read the poem, I familiarized myself with it, but it was a lady that was there that was in charge of getting the talent together for this event. And she said, I know you have more of that in you. She said, I need you to read this poem and really read it. And when you come back, I want you to read it to me at our next rehearsal. And so I did what she said. At first I was in my feelings like, what is she talking about? I know, rolling my neck. I know what I can do. But again, someone's seeing something else in you that you can't see for yourself. And I did. I went home with my feelings, in check, and I read it and I read it and I read it. And I started to actually feel the words of this particular piece. And I memorized it real quickly. So by the next rehearsal, I had it, memorized, and I recited it from memory, and I recited it based on how I felt it. And, sometimes when someone is singing or, you're reading something or watching something, you get so caught up in what is being presented to you that you're not even aware, you're just lost in it. And so after I recited it at the rehearsal, it was quiet in the room for about 10, 15 seconds, and then everybody immediately applauded. And, I was thinking that I did a bad job because they didn't say anything right away. But she was like, oh, man, Colette, you should do this again. And so that just started the ball rolling. And then she said, the very last time I saw her before I left Germany, it was another event, and it wasn't Black History related, but it was just an event. And she said, you ever thought about just writing your own? And I was like, well, I write. She said, I know, but you ever just thought about like writing your own works to be presented? I know you have something to say, and I wrote a piece and I recited it from memory, and I've never looked back. I've never looked back from sharing my work.
So all of the pieces that you started out memorizing from others, did they stay a part of you? Like if somebody said, can you share that? You would be able to share that because the depth of it is in you, or is it more so your own works that stay within you?
I think it's a combination of both, because as a poet, and someone who appreciates the power behind words, I read or listen to or watch things for content, not because it's popular or because it sounds good. I listen for content. So I'm able to separate the noise from the fruit, so to speak. So it's a combination of both, There's some poets like Sonia Sanchez, Alicia Keys is another one. Lauryn Hill is another one. I mean, it's so many poets. Most Def, he's another poet. Smokey Robinson, it's so many poets that are out there, and they have their own unique flow, and they touch you in many different ways. So, yeah. But I'm always proud of the work that each poem that God blesses me to create, because it always fits the occasion of whatever or wherever I'm called to perform at or asked to perform at. So I'm always proud of those pieces because it's something he gives me to share. And I know that when he gives me to share it for whatever event, it's appropriate, it's timely, and someone needs to hear it. For whatever reason, even when I'm composing it and it doesn't make a bit of sense to me, it makes sense to whoever listens to it. And I receive confirmation sometimes during and after the fact. Okay, this is why I had to write the apple fell from the tree. When it, you know what I'm saying? When it didn't make sense, like, why am I talking about apples? Oh, I get it now. Yeah. So, and keeping myself out the way.
I understand. I understand. You mentioned the many that you've been to a lot of places, having been a part of the military community, a military, active military person as well. Do you find that the different localities have really gave you a deeper breadth of insight to share?
Yes, because when I was in the desert or when I was deployed in different locations, I was isolated. So I had time to reflect and listen to him and to others. You know, I tried not to, I learned not to fret the places that I was deployed, and just appreciated whatever lessons and the reasons why, because there are no coincidences. I believe in God incidents. So every place, no matter what I encountered or was exposed to or experienced, I look at each place as a part of my journey for that particular season, whether the experience made sense or not. There are things that happened in 2020 that didn't make sense, but they make sense now in 2024. Same thing when I was in the desert back in 2000. It didn't make a bit of sense, but in 2019, it was like, boop, it clicked. You know what I'm saying? So it's a part, all of it is a part of his processing for me, the smoothing out the rough edges, you know, just making sure that I continue to hone myself as his vessel.
Amen. You know, when you talk about the spoken word and getting it out, I know that you are always being invited to be on stages and to share, but I know that you are also have the entrepreneurial, kingdompreneur spirit of getting out there and getting things done yourself as well, opening up venues. So what type of groups or anything have you created that people might be interested in, that they can tap into, and what's going on in your world in this season?
So I used to, you know, years ago, I used to be a part of the local radio station, a part of that morning show years ago. I used to have a blog talk. I used to have a regular podcast. And I used to post daily Instagram messages and things of that nature. But, you know, everything has a season. And so for me right now, I've really, truly just been keeping myself open for opportunities. I mean, I really said at the beginning of this year, you know, how people make goals and say, okay, God, this is what I'm going to do for this new year, yada, yada, yada. Every year, people make these promises and things of that nature. And the only thing I said, one of the few things, because I've narrowed that list down, because, you know, some of those things, when we feel that God does not bless us with those goals that we set for ourselves, I get older and I keep remembering that my name is Colette, it's not Jeremiah 29:11, because he know. Not I know, he know. My name ain't in the Bible, except as his child. And that's for everybody. But anyway, back to what I was saying. I said to God at the beginning of this year, okay, if you want me to do it, you gonna make it happen, because I don't know. And ever since I said, literally, ever since I said that, every opportunity that's been coming up, I know that it's him, because it echoes. It echoes. Okay, God, you're gonna make this happen. And it happens. So as far as a website, that's in the works. But because I've been so busy with the performances and getting the word out about certain social issues, it really truly hasn't been as important to me as making sure I accomplish whatever he assigns me to do. And back in the day, of course, I would be like, yep, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna go here and my books are gonna be this and I'm gonna be on this website. And I'm just like, at the end of the day, what's more important? Pleasing man or making sure he happy, making sure God is happy. That's all that matters. And then, being obedient opens up the door for other things anyway. So I found that once I did something, like when I did something for you a few years ago, that opened up the door. Somebody saw me in the audience and was like, hey, can you come to my church? Sure.
So this is the month of April. What do you have going on this month? Well, actually, we're still in March, but April will be here.
Right. So April is National Poetry Month. It is also National Sexual Assault Awareness and Prevention Month. And as a survivor of MST, which is military sexual trauma, I at first did not want to unpack my trauma, but I had no choice, because what started happening is that people and events would occur that would be a reminder of my responsibility to help others when I wasn't helped. So I've been using poetry to help others change their narrative, to change their circumstances with the words that they use. That you can go from being a victim to victorious. Am I saying that I have arrived? No, I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that I am a lot better than what I was years ago, because I continue to use my poetry to be a healing balm for others. And it's cathartic for me every time I'm able to use my poetry in different venues. So what God has blessed me to do for the entire month of April, I have a lot of open mic events going on. I have one here at Shaw Air Force Base, and I sent you the information on those, but I'll give the dates. I have one here at Shaw Air Force Base in collaboration with ARCENT, which is the Army, United States Army, here at Shaw. That is April 4th, and that will be in the Army's building 1947, in the Yellow Ribbon Room. You don't need a badge. Anybody is welcome as long as you got access to the base. And that will be April 4th from 12 to 2. On April 8th, I will be hosting open mic for female veterans at the Dorn VA, and that is going to be from 5 to 8. On April 12th, I am going to be hosting open mic at USC Sumter in the Arts and Letters Auditorium, and that is going to be at 12 o'clock. April 19th, I am going to be at the Orangeburg VA at 12 o'clock. And that is, again, another poetry event. And April 22nd, I'm going to be back at the Dorn VA for male veterans for open mic. And on the 30th, I'm going to culminate events with a 5K walk here at Shaw Air Force Base. And that is from 9 to 12 at the sports complex.
Thank you, Colette. So listen, everyone, Colette has quite a few things going on this month. They're open to you. Reach out, especially come and support. Mentioned 2 significant things for this month. It's a sexual assault month, so we need to really put more emphasis on that, as well as it's poetry month. So Colette is such a creative. As she's talking about sexual assault, she's going to be presenting a lot of that with her creative, anointed voice. And I know it's going to be powerful because I've been blessed to be on the side of receiving many times. And Colette was even at my women's retreat this January and blessed us with spoken word. And what I love about spoken word is it always fits. It's always a right fit. And when the person that's bringing it knows how to focus in on the particular environment and event that they're going to be at, it makes the difference. And Colette is just that kind of person that she can, I don't want to say she can pull the rabbit out of a hat, but but I told y'all about that piece of gum she was talking about and broke it down for us. But Colette, I want to thank you for coming on, and you really gave me some insight for the month of April that I even need to bring to the forefront and talk about as well. So even along with this podcast, when yours airs in next week, I'm going to make sure it might be this week. Who knows? We're going to see.
I'm fine. I'm fine with it. You just let me know.
Yeah, I'm going to make sure that we add a piece on sexual assault as well, because I think it's very important. But Colette, as we begin to end, I would like for you to share whatever inspiring words you would like to give to us, because I know you got some.
Okay. Well, I wanted to piggyback on what you said about Sexual Assault Awareness Month. It's not just because it's personal to me, but I believe that it has been such a hidden pandemic in the community that people have been conditioned. I think society has, some sections in society have been conditioned to stay quiet. And silence for me is no longer an option. And I choose to articulate and express that I am not going to be bound to that pain, that trauma, and give others the opportunity to free themselves too with their words. And to call themselves what our Father says you are: healed, healthy, whole, wonderfully made. And if those words don't align with what he says you are, then it is truly okay to reject them. So as far as inspiring words, just in line of what we were just referring to, you are not your past, you are not your trauma, you are not your circumstances. Our Father gave his Son for our healing and for us to walk in wholeness years ago. And we just have to align our thoughts with that fact. Not that belief or myth, it's a fact that we are healed, we are healthy, we are whole. And we will align our thoughts with what our Father says we are. We have no choice. We have no choice. And don't be afraid to say, this is what happened to me, because sharing your pain, you look at it like you're talking to the doctor. When the doctor comes to you, when you go for a checkup and the doctor asks you, well, what's going on? And you don't hesitate to say, okay, my head hurts, or this has been bothering me with my back, and this has been bothering me with my feet. You have to look at people who come to you. You don't know what people are hiding and what they're dealing with behind closed doors. So anytime you feel led by the Spirit to share, notice I said, anytime you feel led by the Spirit to share, because not everybody is receptive to what you got to say. But whenever you're led, or whenever God presents an opportunity for you to be a testament for others, then you do that, because your transparency, truly, you have no idea how much it can help others. And transparency and honesty are two different things. So don't be afraid to break the chains yourself. Don't wait on somebody else. You have the authority to break some chains too.
Amen. Amen. So listen, everyone, you heard it from Colette, the spoken word creative artist. And listen, as you are having your different programs, events, worship experiences, invite Colette in. Colette, tell them your email so that they can reach out to you.
Okay. I'll say it slowly. It is MIZZJONEZ 08 wraparound13@gmail.com. So there's Mike, Inc., Zoo, Julia, Oscar, November, Echo, Zoo, 0813@gmail. So it's just a play on my name, Ms. Jones, but it's Ms. with Z's instead of S's.
I like it. We'll make sure that we put it on the flyer when we put it out. But Colette, thank you so much for being in the space today and giving of your time after working a full day. We appreciate you. I thank you so much, sis. Thank you so much.
What do I tell you all the time? When we got the same father, you ain't got to tell me thank you. Don't I tell you that?
I know, but we're going to say it. All right,
yes, ma'am. I love you too. Take care. Have a good one. Happy Easter, by the way.
All right, y'all. Y'all heard it from Colette. All right.
Thank you, everyone, for listening to Dr. Annette's Chat Podcast, brought to you by Jotney Publishing. Be sure to stay tuned in for future conversations and engagements. Check out the website, jotneypublishing.org, and subscribe to this show on your preferred podcast app. Shout out to Donnie Five for the production. Be blessed and be a blessing. Peace.